tribal chief. WWE fans in Italy were excited to acknowledge Roman Reigns as their tribal chief, but over here on this channel, we don't do that. But what I will do is I will once again acknowledge that WWE Monday Night Raw absolutely sucked. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. However, the show sucked. It did suck. There's no doubt about it. It wasn't a good show, but I think it was one of the better Raws that I have seen in probably a while. And that doesn't exactly mean anything because every week Raw is absolute garbage. However, I did think it was a bit better than what they put out recently. I mean, it's better than any SmackDown I've seen. It's better than any SmackDown I've seen in like probably a couple of years. Because let's be honest, SmackDown is an absolute shit show. But I mean, this Raw, you had like Rumble qualifiers, you had Roman Reigns coming out doing the whole acknowledge me shit, and Jacob Fatu bowing down and joining the Bloodline officially. You also had a main event, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, hopefully putting that feud to bed because that's just been going on way too long and it's way too fucking boring, you know. Paul Heyman taking a pretty cool looking spear, I guess. Seeing Paul Heyman's big fat ass getting speared through a barricade, that cheered me up a little bit. But yeah, you know, not the worst Raw that I've seen in recent times, but you know, it wasn't great either. But yeah, certainly better than, probably better than your average Raw, because your average Raw is like a 1 out of 10. I thought this one was slightly better. Anyway, guys, we're in Italy tonight. Somebody tell WWE that though, because once again, Julia gets jobbed out in her hometown. You know, I just don't understand it. You've got these Italian fans, and you can clearly see that they are excited, and for the most part, I would say that the majority of the European fans are similar, whether it's in France, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in Spain. You know, these, and I think it's maybe because they've pretty much for the whole of time, you've been starved wrestling in Europe. Yeah, you get your house shows and stuff like that, but up until recently, you never ever got PLEs in Europe. You were lucky if you got like a Raw in Europe. You maybe get like one Raw in but even then, the Raws that we got in Europe, they were always like in the UK. Now, you got the odd Raw in Europe. I mean, there was that Italian Raw where Santino won the IC belt. But for the most part, you know, getting a Raw in Europe was like very rare. Let's just go with that. It was very, very rare. But now we're seeing it happen more often, and now they're getting PLEs as well, and you're beginning to see these fans. They love wrestling for some reason. I don't know why. Imagine if they actually had a good product to cheer for. Like, these fans would be... Like, if this were like the Attitude Era, these fans would be going off their head. But, I mean, fair play to them, getting this excited over the garbage that they're having to watch. I mean, I couldn't personally do it, but, I mean, whatever. Maybe they suck. Maybe they don't have much going on in their lives. But, you know, why not give them something extra to cheer for? Why not give them, Julia? Why not, if you're going to these European cities and you have someone from that city, why not showcase them, you know? Isn't it a good opportunity if you've got an Italian wrestler to try and push them up the card? Isn't it a good opportunity if you're going to Spain? Like, they give Axiom a win in Spain, but they don't give Julia a win in Italy. And never mind give Julia... This was a fatal four-way. I mean, Julia did not need to take the pin here, but she did. You know, I find it just... It's a bit strange. It's very strange. She was the US champion for a while. She could have been facing... She could have been facing Tiffany Stratton at Clash in Italy, but they decided against it. I mean, whatever. They can do whatever they want. I mean, Triple H hasn't got a clue, so it is what it is. But, you know, even like in the games, you know, the games kind of tell you that you should use your like hometown person, you know. If you're going to Italy and you've got an Italian on your roster, then you're going to get a boost in ratings or a boost in viewership or a boost in fan reaction if you use your Italian wrestler, you know. Just like if they were going to Japan if they were having a match in Japan, I would expect like Io Sky to be featured big on the card because they're having a big show in Japan. Just like if they were going to like, all right, Canada maybe not so much because you've kind of had a lot of Canadian wrestlers in wrestling, but you get my point, You get my point. I just don't understand why they've not done that. But we kick off with the ceremony, the acknowledgement ceremony. Roman Reigns comes down. He tells everybody in Italy to acknowledge him. Then the crowd literally chant OTC for like 5 minutes straight. I mean, it's cool that the fans are interested and intrigued in this, but I did think it was a bit cringe. I mean, come on. This is one man, and you're bowing down and chanting like he's a god. Oh, he's my tribal chief. It's like, well, actually, we've had real stars in wrestling, like Hogan, Austin. We didn't expect anyone to bow down to these guys and acknowledge them. We just enjoyed them as fans, but with this whole tribal chief thing, it's almost like they want you to, oh, but he's above us. He's, his leadership. There's a a lineage here, and he's the man. He's the ruler. He's our king. It's almost like they treat Roman Reigns like a god. It just doesn't. I don't know. I think it's cringe as fuck, man. But whatever. The Italian fans were intrigued by it. Then Jacob Fatu comes out. He goes, yada 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 me, I'm a man or whatever. My kids seen me lose to you, but they seen me accept defeat like a man. They seen me do the right thing. I'm here to acknowledge you. Jay's kind of laughing. Jacob says, I didn't lose to your punk ass bitch, Jay. And then Jacob gets on his knees and he offers Roman Reigns his hand. He puts his finger up. He acknowledges Roman Reigns. Reigns lifts him up. He says, you don't know this. He acknowledges Roman Reigns. Reigns lifts him up. He says, you don't know this, but I love you. And then Jimmy grabs the mic and he goes, now the bloodline's back together. He goes, we the ones and you the twos. Or you're the twos and we the ones. And it's like, fuck off, Jimmy. You're the biggest two I've ever seen. You're the biggest number two going in this company. You're a big pile of shite. You're a kind of number two that would just get flushed in the toilet and you'd make a mess and you'd need to get like the wee scrubbing brush out to clean it because that's how fucking shite you are, Jimmy Uso. But he's pretending, it's kind of... Jimmy Uso should be kicked out the bloodline at this point. Roman Reigns looks weak by allowing this guy to even stand next to him. I'm not even joking. Right. Anyway, I thought the segment was okay. I actually thought the segment was okay, but I think the fans are super cringe for, bowing down and chanting as if this is a god. It's not. It's just an overrated guy holding a belt at the end of the day. Right, first match, we got Obafemi versus Penta versus Carmelo Hayes versus Solo Sikoa. Tala Tonga was at ringside. He got involved. He tried to take Obafemi out of the match. Obafemi was very dominant in this. Most of the match, the other three guys tried to beat up Obafemi. Didn't really work, and then Tala Tonga joined in 4-on-1. They kind of took Obafemi out for the moment. They threw him over the barricade. Then later on, Solo looks to the barricade. He sees Obafemi getting up, and he basically panics. Obafemi then launches Tala Tonga over the barricade, and Obafemi just destroys the remaining three guys before hitting the big powerbomb on Solo Sikoa and getting the 1-2-3. I just find this strange. So it looked like they were teasing something last night with Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline and the MFTs. So you're thinking, oh, look, are they going to try and push Solo again as a threat to Roman? Are they going to try and do the MFTs versus the Bloodline? I don't know. But if you are, then why have Solo Sikoa lose? Especially when it's like a fatal four-way. You've got bloody Carmelo Hayes in the match. I mean, or Penta. One of them could have easily lost. But they decided to give the loss to Solo Sikoa. Now, normally I'd be like, well, Solo Sikoa's going nowhere. But it just seemed like last night they teased something, so I thought that was strange. Anyway, we see again, there's Austin Theory and Maxine Dupree are having a conversation. I don't know what's happening here. Is Maxine Dupree not like engaged in real life? Are they going for some sort of on-screen romance? Possibly. maybe. We've seen Maxine Dupree getting in a car with the Fission over the past few weeks, but does anybody really care? I don't. Just speed this shit up. There's no need to drag it out this much. Then Sol Ruka comes down, has a championship celebration. I thought this was really boring, and I thought Sol Ruka's commentary, quite frankly, not her commentary, I thought her mic skills sucked, man. And she put over Becky Lynch for being a fighting champion, but Becky was wrong. She proved Becky wrong. And she's going to be a fighting champion, and anyone who steps in the ring is going to get their soul snatched. I thought it was just kind of garbage. Nobody came out to interrupt her. It was like a genuine title celebration. And I just don't think it's necessary for a woman winning the mid-card belt to get this kind of celebration, but it is what it is. So then we see Roman Reigns backstage. He says he's going to get to Cody Rhodes later because it looks like it could be him and Cody. Roman tells Jay that they need to stay on Jacob's ass because he's the only one that understands the tough love, and that's why he needs to understand. Yeah, basically, then Roman says that Jay held the World Heavyweight Championship, but he's never had the other championship, and Roman says he needs Jay to win the King of the Ring, go to SummerSlam, and take the undisputed WWE Championship. He says, never forget,
please no.
There's two ends of the table. Roman says he needs Jay to level up. Roman tells Big Jim to stay with him because Jay needs to do this on his own. So, yeah, I'm going to assume that Jey Uso's qualifying match will be on SmackDown. And you can just see here that, I mean, Jimmy Uso's not even in the King of the Ring tournament. I mean, Jimmy Uso's garbage. But yeah, Roman Reigns, it's strange because he's 1 minute he's saying, oh, I'm going to get to Cody Rhodes, but now here he's basically saying, yeah, Jay, you win that belt and then you can sit across from me at the table and we'll be 1 and 2 kind of deal, you know? But I can't see Jimmy Uso or Jey Uso, win the title. Jimmy Uso's got no chance of winning the title. Right, we then got Rey Mysterio in his old gear, teaming up with Dragon Lee. A bit of Mexican flavour here, taking on Ethan Page and Rusev.
There's a reason firefighters always win water fights.
Goofy, dumb bullcrap.
You know, as what it is. Mysterio picks up the win. Mysterio's the only guy that I care for here, so hard to get excited. But he hits the 619, then drops the dime to pick up the victory. That was that. We then see Adam Pearce talking to Penta. Penta gets told by Adam Pearce that Rey Mysterio wants the Intercontinental Championship, and that match is going to happen. So, yeah, he's going to make the match official. Now, I don't know when it's going to happen, but we're getting Rey versus Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. It'd be cool if Rey won it, but we'll see. We'll see. I think that's worthy of happening at a PLE. I mean, they've got so many shit matches at PLEs. The least they could do is put Rey Mysterio on one. I mean, he deserves to be on one. Then we get LA Knight. He approaches Adam Pearce. Basically accuses Adam Pearce of sucking up to the bloodline, which is kind of true. Everybody does it. He then says that Adam Pearce wants Roman Reigns to be champion. Adam Pearce doesn't want anybody to challenge Roman. He didn't want Jacob to challenge him. He didn't want LA Knight to challenge him. And LA Knight kind of just goes with it. And then LA Knight holds up a finger from Adam Pearce to make the one taunt, we the ones, finger in the air. And Adam Pearce is not buying this, and he says it's none of LA Knight's business who Adam Pearce speaks with backstage. So, you know what, I thought it was a decent promo from LA Knight. I'm going to assume it's LA Knight versus Roman Reigns at some point coming up. Adam Pearce here, is he going to have to pick a side? I mean, who knows? Who really cares? But I did think this was a decent promo from LA Knight. Yeah. Right, then we get the third match. Io Sky, Roxanne Perez, Julia and Lash Legend. Again, Lash Legend, they try and take her out just like they did Obafemi to essentially turn it into a triple threat match. Then she comes back in, starts whipping ass. She beats up Roxanne Perez. She beats up Julia. She pins Julia. But Io Sky does a double foot stomp off the top rope on top of Lash Legend. Then Lash Legend rolls to the side and Io climbs the top, hits the moonsault on Julia. and gets the 1, 2, 3. So Io Sky advances in the Queen of the Ring, and Giulia gets jobbed out in her, home country of Italy. Italia. That didn't make any sense to me, I don't know. I mean, you tell me Roxanne Perez couldn't take a pin. She's taken enough pins over the fucking last year. One more's not really going to do any more damage. I don't know. Bit strange if you ask me. But Triple H books this shit, so we shouldn't expect anything good. Right. We then see Adam Pearce talking to the Alpha Academy. Maxine says she was surprised her name was left off Queen of the Ring. Pearce says that the Queen of the Ring is stacked this year, so he needs to make some tough decisions. It's nothing personal. Maxine knows how highly he thinks of her. Maxine says that Pearce overlooked her again. Pearce says that if an opening comes up, she'll be at the top of the list. Maxine says thank you. So then we got Otis asking Maxine if she's okay. But Maxine's acting aggressive. She's like, yeah, I'm fine. And then they point out that she's been hanging around Austin Theory. And the Alpha Academy don't trust him. But Maxine says, okay, you need to trust me. So, will we possibly see somebody get taken out of one of these Queen of the Ring matches? Could we see Maxine get put in there? I mean, maybe, maybe not. Then we got a Danhausen vignette where essentially he cursed the New York Knicks. Then they started losing games. Then he uncursed the New York Knicks, and then they won like 7 in a row. And this has been getting like a lot of media hype on ESPN, in the sports world, basketball world. They're talking about Danhausen, which is mental, because WWE's been trying to get more mainstream now for years and years and years, and it's this fucking little freak Danhausen that's making a name for himself, Kind of strange, but it is what it is, Right, then we got Bayley and Lyra, just bullshit, man. Kind of arguing over, well, not really arguing, but just saying, if we have to face each other in the Queen of the Ring, we'll just do it. We'll put our friendship to the side and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, right, okay. Then we get the Judgment Day Clubhouse. Roxanne Perez isn't happy that she lost, but Liv doesn't mind. Liv's like, you know what? I'm going to be the champion anyway. I'm going to be the queen, and that crown is going to fit on my head. Raquel tells Liv, here, maybe read the room a little bit. Nobody wants to hear you brag right now. We're upset that Roxanne lost. But then Liv basically says that her and Daddy Dom or Raquel are going to win the tournaments, and basically Judgment Day are going to run Raw. And she tells Roxanne not to be upset because she's proud of her, so we'll see what happens there. Probably not there. Then in the main event, we got Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. Austin Theory came out, had a bit of a run-in. Braun Breaker went for a spear through the announce table. Seth Rollins countered into a pedigree. Then Austin Theory, like I said, he got taken out by Seth. Braun Breaker attempted to spear Seth Rollins, because Paul Heyman, it looked like Braun Breaker was beat after the stomp, but then Paul Heyman put his foot on the bottom rope, so Seth then chased Paul Heyman on the outside. Paul Heyman says he doesn't respect Seth. Seth has absolutely zero respect for this fat bastard either. So he chased him around. Braun Breaker ran around the ring though, attempted to go for a spear. Rollins moves out the way. Breaker spears Heyman through the table, and at this point, you're thinking, holy fuck, is Paul Heyman dead? But then Seth Rollins has the title. I don't know what title he had to be. A tag team title. I was going to say, none of these guys are fucking champs. But yeah, Braun Breaker's won half the tag titles, so Seth Rollins holds it. Braun goes for a spear. Seth hits him in the head. The commentators say that Braun's been knocked out, even though he's getting back to his feet, so he hasn't really been knocked out. But then Seth hits a stomp, and that's it. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins wins, and that was the end of Raw in 2 hours and 32 minutes. There was also Montez Ford, by the way. He came out and he took care of Austin Theory. He did like a moonsault over the top of the turnbuckle. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Let's hope that Rollins and Braun Breaker now is over, because none of us have really been interested in that shite. if you ask me. But yeah, guys, honestly, I didn't think this Raw was that bad. Had a couple of qualifying matches, round 1 qualifying matches for the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. We had the acknowledgement segment as well. Nice to see Rey Mysterio get a wee win. And, the main event was, I personally find it boring, but, whatever. It was Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. We got to see Paul Heyman get speared. It wasn't the greatest show, but it wasn't the worst either, so I'm going to give Raw a 3 out of 10. I'm going to give Raw a 3 out of 10. I normally give it like a 1. Sometimes I give it a 2. But I'll give this one a 3. Still a bad show. Make no mistake about it, guys. Still a bad show. Not a good watch at all. But it was okay. Well, it wasn't okay. Don't know why I said that. It was far from okay, but it wasn't abysmal, okay? It wasn't the usual I want to kill myself.